Hello, guys, and welcome to today's AVA Progs. Right now, we're just waiting momentarily for Progs to begin. We're just getting the export in, sending out all the invites to the stream. And if you guys have anywhere you want to share it, now's the time to send it out there. And the more we get out there, it just helps the server grow. Yeah, honestly, that's really the only pro to doing it. But hey, we've had some players recently join, Duty Frams and Pandito and Priest Gabe and such. And as the newer people join, one of the things that becomes really big to helping add to the server is that they're able to look back on history. And they're able to be like, wow, this is my team's history, and that's super cool. Jesse James was telling me that when he joined, he was able to learn his entire team's history from just watching YouTube videos. Anyway, I think that's super cool. So I'm gonna just throw out some links on like the Reddit and such real quickly, and if you guys want to do me a favor and spread it out there just so people can check us out, that'd be super helpful. Um, all right. So I've gotten that posted there. You just want to check, tell me how if the Reddit link's all good. And we'll get Progs underway in a second here. You guys excited? If you're excited, leave it in the comments section below. Let me know what team you are. Let me know if you want me to rig you Progs, and maybe I will. Just kidding, but who knows? Maybe small chance, unlikely. Um, Either way, just waiting for the export right now. Boy Me Red is just finishing it up. Right now, we're just waiting on the export here. What's up, DD? Welcome to the live stream.
G-Wood,
What's up, dude? Welcome to the live stream, DD.
where's the Progs?
Well, waiting on Boy Me Run to get me the export. Should be out any second now.
Okay.
Yo, Didi, just in case he isn't able to get out because he just popped off, do you want to take a look and see if you can start getting it going for a real quick second? It should just be adding a few signings in.
Sorry, I can't. I'm not near, anything except for my phone right now, so...
Oh, lovely. Well, we shall do a competition. Who can win, me or Boy Me Red getting back online? Fun. This shall be good. Alright.
Well, I'll catch Progs later.
Yes. Alright, you guys can still see everything, correct? Cool. I might just have to add these in as we go. Because Boy Me Red just popped off online, so I want to get this done as soon as possible. Tis happens, I suppose. Dude, I remember in old days of ABA when I used to have to do this every single time before the mod team. The memories, man. Not good. $37, 2 years. Apologies for the brief delay here, guys, as I do the entire export last second. Snohomish is reuniting with Drazen. And then we have Garrett Robinson going to Pittsburgh. Let's see. McGinnis. I think he was out of the league last season. Yeah, he was out of the league last season. Now he's getting paid. I mean, just 10 million, but it's something considering he wasn't getting paid literally anything last season. I was honestly surprised. I thought a team would take a chance on him sometime during the season, but to be fair, he does score and he rebounds, but he doesn't do anything else, so he's not actually a win now player, but he could prog into a potential star. He's like on that weird balance. Sullivan goes back to Syracuse. Baker, $3 million, 2 years. Carolina. I feel like Gus Baker's never lived up to the potential I thought he had, especially after his first year in the league. I think he averaged like 15 rebounds with the Irvin Miles Jazz, if I recall. Edwards, 2.8, 2 years to Pittsburgh. Moon, 16 million, 3 years to Belgrade. Belgrade's going to be decent this season. Worthy, 15 million, 4 years. And that's to Kansas City. We'll see if he can finally put up the stats that he's kind of always shown potential. Like, he's been a high overall, but he hasn't really put up stats. We'll see if he can finally do it this year. Cardiff continues to be an insanely tall team. Irving goes to Tijuana. Tijuana's going to be probably one of the most hyped teams this season. Obviously, Martin, the big free agent, going to San Diego. This is probably one of the weakest free agent classes we've had in ABA history. Oh, I see. He finished it before me. Aha, he beat me. Look at that. That's awesome. He beat me. Alright, so you guys gotta hear me talk a little bit about the free agents, but we instead go straight into Progs here. With the clutch save. Yep, I see it. I see it. I see it. Thank you, dude. I much appreciated. Here we go. Alright, so we got some minor cap issues I'll work out real quickly, but that shouldn't be a major issue. It was just 3 teams. Alright. Let's see. 17 million for Bosnia. Irfan can finish this out in free agency here. So I'm just going to throw Irfan in free agency, and then he can figure that out because that's his own cap, so that's not a big problem. Next up here is Detroit. They had one of these was extra. I think it was the Maminka or Mahorn. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I have to go to the Detroit chat. We'll get that fixed real quickly. And we're going to be joined by Goose here too, so that's exciting. Give me 1 second here. Alright, so Vontae is going to pop out here. Here's Goose. Goose is joining the chat now. Goose, welcome. How are you?
Interesting.
Well, welcome to ABA Progs, Goose. We're getting this going. If you want to get some chat activity going on the Discord and in the YouTube, that'd be great. I'm just going to real quickly figure out what the last team's cap thing was, and then so San Diego, they went a tiny bit over.
And could you actually send it to me this time so I could actually preview the export and pop out anything, like point out, like during the live stream and stuff?
Yes, I can send it to you.
Alright.
Yeah, not a problem. Alright, so real quickly, just going to adjust that down to 20. That works, and he would have still signed that because that still would have been his best deal. And that should finish up all of the problems with the export, right? Yep. There we go. Easy peasy. Alright. So, with that, let me check free agency. Yeah, this was a very weak free agency in which most people are waiting till after the fact. So, with that, are you guys ready? We'll get to going. Leave in the comments section if you guys are ready for Progs. Give me, if I see Progs, not Pogs. If I see Progs spammed enough, we'll get Progs going right here. And then, yeah, so.
We need somebody in Prague.
Yep, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sim it, and then I'm going to immediately export it. I'll drop the file over to Goose so he can follow along with us a little bit faster than being left behind a little bit, and we'll get going. So drop in the comment section below. Leave Progs. Let's get this going. If we can get that chat rate up to like 10, we'll do Progs right now. Or you guys will have to listen to a nice long Goose lecture about why he needs to see it first. So drop Progs in the chat below, and let's get this thing going. All right.
They want to hear Progs.
So basically, with that being said, guys, we will go. And
Are we doing it numerical, like first to last, or
we'll probably do A to Z. I think we'll do A to Z. Yeah, we'll do A to Z. Alright, so Progs have occurred. Tools, Export League. No previews yet. Exported now to Goose. Goose, I'm just going to drop it in mod chat. If you wouldn't mind throwing up to not post it yet.
Yeah, no.
Okay, dropping that for Goose. And now, are you guys ready? Let's do this. So first things first, we're going to go down to multi-team mode here. Alright, now we know people are waiting for free agency. Let's see who the big winners of free agency are here. So first up, Irfan, big winner. Okay, remember, his contract's 40 with Bosnia, so he can look to sign anywhere. He now progs over 60. He's going to be one of the most hot post-free agents we've ever had. Eugene Mackey, meanwhile, he's a starter right here. Look at those stats.
I'm actually going to delete it, if that's alright.
No problem. Those stats, horrible for his overall, but incredibly efficient player. Christian Schuler, he's going to be a starter, borderline all-star potentially. Tony Slider, solid starter. You could get a really quality team out of free agency here. And a lot of the role players progged, as you'd expect, role players too. They're not going to be stars. Tobias Jr. is on Boston. That was a small mix-up with the export. Let me check what the contract is real quickly. The contract was 3.52, so he's actually on a really good deal.
Oh, fuck, I'm a retard.
Language.
Oh, my bad. I forgot we were live for a second there.
All right, so
Sorry,
he's on
guys.
a really good deal. And I went a little sneak peek there. So we will start with Anaheim. All right, looking at Anaheim's progs here. Jason Morris goes up pretty big. J.B. Walker also going up pretty big. Cruz goes down. Mitch Platter goes down. But honestly, these are good progs for a team that's now fairly solid with $4 million in cap left. They have a pretty competent starting lineup of 460s. I think they're in the playoffs pretty well. No God progs here, but definitely not bad. They have a really solid duo. Jason Morris could put up a lot of points this season. Yeah, this is a pretty great prog for him, honestly. He's going to become a really good all-around player for them. They might have gotten something really special on him. He's signed for another year as well. He's going to put up some big stats for this team, so we'll see how that team does. Next up here is Atlanta. They're in a bit of a cap situation here, and their rookies did not prog great. They got some bad progs from a lot of their young guys. Oh,
Alright,
McGinnis is
looking at it.
all messed up. But there we go. All right, but McGinnis, he progs down as well. Honestly, this is just it's a team with a cap problem. I'm not too worried about them long term because they not in a bad financial standings, but all of these guys didn't prog great, so they're just mediocre again. Probably will miss the playoffs here. Next up is Beijing. Bad progs from their big three. Great prog from Maurice Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
TJ Kumar goes down. They're probably going to be in the playoff race here for certain, but I don't think they're going to be an upper level seed. They might want to consider blowing it up because these contracts are no longer looking like the best. But they might have value to contenders as like a third star, so we'll see what they do. Next up,
I honestly recommend that they keep the roster because in 2039 they're going to get rid of George McCann, his bad contract, and Kumar's bad contract.
yeah, those are also a possibility.
Yeah, and then they could, if they want to, try and get a pick through one of their bad contracts that are going to last longer, like Tracy McGrady. They could get a first-round pick for sure.
Yep. So, here you'll see Anthony Stewart stays the same, which is a little disappointing. Transitioning more of a guard role potentially for them. But they have pretty solid progs from their other starters to keep what could have been a declining team actually starting to go back up. They're a little thin on the bench, and Jesse King is probably going to be moved. But with a little bit of cap room and a pretty deep team, they're definitely in the playoffs now, pretty solidified, with a really solid core. So we'll see what they do. I would definitely expect Big Z and King to be on the block this season, though. All right. Next up here, we go to Bosnia here. Now remember, they do have a tiny bit of cap flexibility. In addition, Irfan does have the first rights to sign his own cap, so we'll see what goes on there. He gets God progs from Guillen and O'Grady, a fine prog from Nasser. Frankly, he got some pretty okay progs and is now in a pretty strong position. Even though it seems like they've been in the league for a while, O'Grady and Guillen are only 22. And while they had horrible progs last season, they're right back to being potential megastars. Irfan, if he adds himself, will have 3 players, 60 plus and 70 plus potential. That's an insane trio for him. So we'll see what Irfan does there. In terms of the cap that he'd need to dump to keep him to get himself, unfortunately, Jermaine O'Neal did not prog well. He could move on from Jermaine. He could also potentially move Nasser. It's going to be interesting to see what he does. But we'll see what he figures out here. All right. So next up, we will go to Boston. This team was good for a while, but they've had some bad luck lately, and this offseason's progs, none different. They're going to be a playoff team in the East, but not much more than that. They do have some cap room to work with here, but they're not in as strong a position as they were recently. We'll see what they do, but they need to make some moves. Next up here, does that have... it does have Tobias Harris Jr., who had their best prog and is probably now one of their core young players here. So, see what they do. Maz Higgins getting a great prog, by the way. Let's just make sure his OIQ does go over the cap. I don't think it's going to hurt him too much because he's just dropping 7 there. But Oh, okay. Still a great Progs.
Yeah,
No doubt.
really, it's just their small guys getting the good progs.
Yeah. Next up here, Buenos Aires. Cottrell goes down, but Gervin goes up big time. Luke Ross, who's one of the best contracts in the league history, Progs up. This is a solid team. They don't have any true centers in their starting lineup, and they don't have any true point guards in their starting lineup. Or actually, I guess they do. I consider Guillen more of a shooting guard, but I guess they do there. They're in a strong position. While their cap space isn't great, they're definitely going to be a contender. So we'll see what goes on there. Cardiff, the meme team. So Yao goes up, Merritt goes up, Freddie Henderson goes up big time, Charles Adams goes up big time. The rookies, Corona Avarice will be starting. Yep. They're going to be a tall team, right? Very tall team. They'll probably start that lineup. Just saying. Freddie Henderson going up is pretty cool. Spencer Adams goes down pretty big. He's just been a complete bust in the league. And they might have one of the worst contracts in the league next season. A 38 overall who will be 31 and making $20 million next season. That's crazy. But they're a tall team. So we'll see what goes on there. Take a look at Carolina. Patrick Sullivan goes off. Zimning Woodstra goes up big time. They're solid, not great, but they have a lot of cap to go after some of these guys in free agency here. We'll see what they do, but they're not in a bad spot per se. They added some solid high PER veterans to their bench, so they're a very deep team. They just need to add 1 or 2 stars, and they got the cap space to do it. And as we saw, there's a lot of options. They could definitely be a team I could see in the role for Mackey, potentially Brad Manning and Gary Sheets as well. So we'll see what they do there. Next up is Charlotte. Rex Patton goes up big time. Gordon Hayward goes up big time. Could Charlotte keep contending, even having lost near MVP more? We might see that. Michael Lever also going up big time. This team has a lot of potential. Depth-wise, they're kind of thin. They'll need to add some people, but they do have a little bit of cap flexibility here, so we'll see what Kevin does. Taking a look at Chicago. World B. Free's potential and overall go up. Pervert Short goes up a little bit, but Gale goes down drastically. He's not a great contract. I think they're going to be on the outside of the playoffs this season. While they do have some cap room, they need to add a big man. They would be my personal favorites to sign Irfan, but I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. Taking a look at Cincinnati here. Dalston Miller potentially going to come into his own as a true star of this team. As a roster as a whole, they're okay. They're not great. They have some high PER players, I suppose. But this is really a team that's going to be in the rebuild mode. But Dalston Miller should put up some crazy good stats this season. Coming off career high 17-6 last year, I see big things in his future. Next up here is Cleveland. Wow. A God Prog from Lizard. His DIQ does go over, so we'll knock his DIQ down. But a God Prog nonetheless. Yeah. This is a good team. I feel like whenever, if you're a cap and you're drafted in the first round by YBP, you did something right. Ty Jackson went up big time, and right here again, YBP getting a star big man cap. As for his bench, they're pretty okay. Nothing great. JJ Shipwright getting a pretty big prog as well. All right. Next up is Dallas. They're going to be probably in the playoff battle here. It's going to be close. They have Sunderman, obviously, now, and a solid starting lineup, but I don't know. I feel like they're definitely a true star away from being a true playoff team. They might get in there. They're going to definitely continue having one of the best records in league history, but I don't know how great that record will be. So next up, we'll look at Denver here. Denver obviously being one of the teams that big time won in free agency, landing Jay Kumar. He doesn't go down. Meanwhile, their other caps, let's see, Hopkins, his IQ has to get nerfed a little bit. He's going down 8 here IQ-wise, so we'll see what that does to him. Yeah, still a good prog. Kevin, no need to bring that down. And Cardiac Walker, no need to bring that down. They got some great progs here. I'm really excited for this team as a whole. I think that guard-wise, they have a great 3-guard lineup. Very solid defensively in Spider. Spider's a great fit for this team. While they are a little small ball here, they also have great defense, great defensive caps, and a great bench too. Denver is definitely going to be a contender in my mind. We'll see if they can beat Kentucky, but they're definitely going to be up there. Speaking of contenders, Detroit, Manning going down, Gene going down, but Hans Gruber, Dalston Miller, Paulo Mimenka, the epithet all going up. Pete Mahorn going up. They just got great progs, really, and that's going to keep them around here. They're now one of the deeper teams in the league. They don't have a ton of roster players, but they are incredibly deep. They'll add 2 two-way contracts as well, and they'll be in a pretty strong spot. We'll see what they can do with that. Taking a look at Flint here, they're in a bit of a rebuilding spot. They're going to have to cut a lot of players. They got some bad contracts, I think, developing. So they're probably going to want Tank for a while, with Fox and Brown being pretty rough contracts. OJ Mayo does have some value now, potentially as a sixth-man type of guy. Ron Artest not going anywhere is a little disappointing, but I'm sure they like what they're seeing out of Fisher, and we'll see if they can do anything. Next up here brings us to Hawaii, one of the potential contenders. They lost out on Big and Chunky in the offseason due to cap stuff, and it looks like Penetrator, for the first time in his career, had bad progs, potentially taking a big step back. Skarn as well, both potentially regressing big time. But Stokes might be the superstar that they need. He's now one of the best all-around players in the league. He could be potential triple-double candidate in the next couple of years, potential MVP candidate guy. So we'll see if Stokes keeps being that core piece that they need to continue contending, as Hawaii is one of the best teams in the league. Taking a look at the Houston Apollos here, progs not so great to their bench and some of their role players, but they did get some nice progs for prospects here. They're a little thin for my liking, and they could definitely use this cap room well to position themselves better in the future. Honestly, I don't know why Neil Thomas is listed. I mean, I guess they're just thin up front. I guess they need to get another big man, if I'm being honest. That would be what I'd work on for them, is some forwards and some bigs. Taking a look at Jacksonville here. Bad progs for their starters. I think last season is going to prove to have been a fluke for them. I don't think these progs were good enough to keep them alive. I think it was actually pretty rough progs. They might need to sign some guys off the bench to contend. Bodio going down is definitely not what they wanted to see. But we'll see what they can do there. Next up is Kansas City. John Mitchell goes up big time.
About that.
No problem. Roger Thomas going up big time. Matthew Ross. Kansas City Goose. All going up big time. Honestly, Litmus is probably the early front runner for most improved player, right?
Whoa. Well,
big progs.
This Michael Lever guy.
I mean,
I was just skipping through and I saw he progged up 20.
It's possible, but the thing is that you got to keep him on opportunity. Kansas City lost 2 stars. Litmus has the potential to be their franchise guy. They do need to add guards, though. They have next to no guards.
Yo, Jay Wood.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm upset. I traded Lever Jr. to Charlotte because I wasn't a fan of his build, but he gets plus 20. And none of my young guys gets a plus 10 progs, which sucks.
Oof. Kentucky. Wow.
Please don't tell me. I'm not watching.
Oh, my God. ABA is an open league. Any team can win.
Oh, okay. Phew.
That was...
You scared me.
This is one of the worst progs I've seen an all-cap team get.
I want to see. One second.
Wow. Any of these guys want to get double hit on the IQ here too? No. But damn, they got hit hard. Juan Kim does go up, so there's that. Oh, but he does get actually hit on the DIQ. But he's got value now. He's actually like going to be a decent player. That's so random.
Just all damn terrible.
But yeah, they got hit hard. That might knock Kentucky out of contend. Like, they're definitely going to be a contender, but they no longer got a cakewalk to the championship here. This season's open. All right, taking a look at Kwazulu. Bad progs for Brett Anderson, Trey Bricks, their guards. Tatuli stays the same. Honestly, this was a horrible progs. They have a lot of cap space to spend. We'll see what Goose does with that, but they're in pretty rough position to start it off. Looking at Las Vegas here, team rating is 0. Progs decimate their roster. They got cap space but missed out on free agents. They're going to have to be targeting pretty hard now to keep this team afloat. But even their young guys progged poorly. They're in a real rough spot. Look at Vassar's Progs, Saren Smith's Progs. They're disaster. Next up is London. Breckenridge Progs up big time. Nick Jordan with a huge prog. Nick Jordan looking like a potential superstar for them. Zimmerman goes up. Karai Jackson and Brianna Stewart. These were the dream progs you want as them. They're now showing a lot of potential. They could have a really strong year. Look for Nick Jordan to definitely slot in as a starter on this team, and we'll see what they do. Los Angeles time. Light 2, Progs up big time. He's definitely becoming that superstar that they thought Light was. Freddie Taylor, Big Fred, becoming a co-star for them as well. Quinn Graham keeping value, and same with Jenkins. They're actually not in a bad spot here. I could definitely see them moving Chamel, maybe going after some of Beijing's old stars, and potentially making a run here. Maybe Austin Warner could be in play, Las Vegas. We'll see what they do. Steve Kerr going down big time is a little disappointing. But ultimately, great progs if you are Los Angeles. Taking a look at Melbourne here, David McGillen does not go down at 31. LaMelo Ball goes up, but the rest of the supporting cast does go down. They have a little bit of cap room to work with. We'll see if they make any moves here. I think long term, this team, they got a couple more good runs left. And I think the fact that McGillen is still an 86 and Kentucky is now way below an 100 gives them a pretty good chance this season. Taking a look at Mexico City here. Allen Iverson goes up, but Bruno Kendrick comes crashing down, and the co-stars on this team just aren't around to help it. This is going to be a rough season for Mexico City. We'll see if they can do anything. Taking a look at Miami here, Dweez Burleson going down 3, Darnell Brown and King down. B.B. Kinney's in a pretty rough spot this season. I wouldn't be too worried if I was him because he does have some young players showing up on the bench. McPherson Thompson will probably still get his stats, which could potentially keep the team in playoff contention, but they're definitely a long way from being a good team. The great era of Miami has come to an end. Taking a look at Milwaukee here, Flora becoming a big name player for them. Novak progging pretty strongly. Lucas Scott progging pretty strongly. Wow. Plus 15. Wow, all that gets erased. That is rough for Higgins, but ends up taking down his IQ after going up so high. Disappointing, but either way, they're in a pretty strong position now with a lot of quality starters. There's 1 or 2 moves away from being a contender this season. Sawyer Howell goes up big time. They picked him over Kumar, and I think they're going to like that decision. Sawyer Howell won Most Improved Player last year, doubling his points per game and his assists per game. This season, he's going to be the franchise centerpiece for what could be a pretty good Minnesota team, and we'll see what he does here. In addition, Kane Neal might be retiring at the end of the season, so we'll see if they can go out on top with him. Next up here, Montreal. Wow. Hawkins up, Warford up big time. Right there, looking at potential Rookie of the Year numbers. McLennan, no idea who that is. Former first-round pick, up big time for them, showing superstar potential. Walrus goes up big time potentially. They're in a really strong spot all of a sudden. They're in a really strong spot. I'm legitimately shocked. I thought this team had a long rebuild ahead of it, and now they are out of the rebuild already. LeBron will be spearheading a contending team all of a sudden. That's insane. Complete crazy, but wow. All right. New Jersey, middling playoff team. They probably won't make it this year, but Progs did have something to say about that as it tries to help them up, keeping them afloat here. They're a good team, but not a great team. Mike Scott flashing some superstar potential before free agency, it looks like. He could be a potential max candidate in the offseason, so we'll see what goes on there. Next up here is New York. 40 goes down. Hogan goes up. Rudolph stays the same. J.P. Lane goes up. Evan Hart goes up. I don't want to be upset with these products because honestly, they're now a contender, like a real contender, with the Hogan edition. But the 40 not becoming a superstar is a little disappointing. Philadelphia now, wow, they start out with 3 great progs right here, getting their core going, even a little bit there with Icon Parks, but their bench just gets killed. They're going to probably not make the playoffs, but it's going to be close. Next up here, Pittsburgh. disaster Progs hit their starting lineup. They're going to be out of the playoffs, but at least they'll be something this season. Potentially a candidate to sign Irfan, we'll see. Providence here, Gosselin showing big time potential. Shelton going up a little bit. They got tons of cap space for Ricky to spend here, but we'll see if anything happens there. Rio de Janeiro, Umberto Trigano progging up big time, showing potential superstar levels. That's kind of crazy. I never really pegged him as a potential superstar, but he's looking like it. Colton Nicholas continues to be great. They might have one of the best backcourts in the league right now, but they don't really got much up front. We'll see if they can make a move to free that up. But they're in a pretty strong spot. Unfortunately, Bajorn Brondin looks like he's going to be a bust in this league, which is a little disappointing, but is what it is. San Diego here, I know as we're getting close to Seattle, I'm like, oh, will Dante prog up or down? I'm a little excited here. But Alex Moore progging up a little bit. Brittany Griner progging up big time, but they do get some down progs from their other starters. Ultimately, I think San Diego's definitely going to make the playoffs and be a little bit of an exciting team here, but not as great as they could be. Next up, Seattle. Dante Robinson up 8, 71-87, the highest potential I think in ABA history. At just 20 years old, I think that might be the highest potential we've ever had. And Isaiah Thomas goes up. They're definitely going to be a contender this season, no doubt about that. One of the best teams in the league, maybe the best team in the league. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Singapore, meanwhile, Progs were not favorable to this team. They especially get hit hard on the bench here, and with a lot of their role players going down quite substantially, and Keon Covington going down as well. Bart Simpson does go up a tiny bit, but his potential does drop, so we'll see what goes on there. Taking a look at Snohomish, Chris Paul goes down, Antonio Williams goes up, but their core is definitely starting to show some age. They're definitely not going to be a playoff team, or at least a deep one this season, but we'll see if they can trade some of those vets for value. Syracuse, Bonner stays the same coming off a near MVP season, but his supporting cast does go down. Pohl continues to go up. I'm very long on Pohl's career. We'll see where that goes. And overall, I think they're actually in a pretty decent spot. I think that Roderick Newsom going down, it might be the end of his career, but we'll see. Next up here is Tampa Bay. B.B. Kinney, who is hitting free agency, becomes a 75 and basically has the team to himself. Maybe Andre Curtis does something this season, but this team is a lot different than when he took over the team. We'll see if they can keep it around. All right. Next up here is Tijuana. They had a great offseason, but I don't know if they're going to be able to capitalize on it. Jan Teho A. Tojo goes down. Manu goes down. Smart really the only one of their youngsters that goes up. Bill Murray now running the show here supposedly with Joe Mama. It's probably a playoff core, but their bench really don't got much to show for it as they all go down substantially. We'll see if Tijuana can do anything. Tokyo Bishudo, they give Gino the payday, but he does decline substantially. Nabi could be a decent role player, and I think this is going to be an exciting team, but not a great team. But they're definitely going to be fun to watch. Utah here, Andrew Gilgee goes up a little bit. Steve Nash goes up, but the bench is just too thin to really tell right now. And Vancouver, some great progs for them. Gino is now in a pretty strong position with this team. We'll see what he does, potentially to add some depth here, but they're in a pretty decent spot as a contending team. This season's really, truly wide open. They have a lot of cap space, and they made some big splashes in the offseason, but there's a few different places to which Virginia can go, though they're definitely starting to trend up a little bit. And Washington, a few years ago, super hyped, light, just really disappointing in Washington here. Howard's starting to show signs of age, O'Keefe and Craig as well. Last year might have been that lucky run. I don't know if they'll get back there this year. We'll see. And that is Progs, guys. So, again, a stacked free agency here. I mean, a stacked early season free agency, and what was one of the weakest free agencies in recent memory. Obviously, we'll get Irfan out, and we'll see potentially some, looks like rookie free agencies as well. Oh, wow. Yeah. So, anyway, super hyped for Progs, and get your offers in. We'll probably do 2 days. We'll get the season going. Tomorrow we'll probably do 2-way contracts. Yeah. Oh, hey, it looks like people in comments are looking for Cleveland. Yeah, if you guys want Cleveland, I will do that right now. Looks like somebody wanted to see Cleveland, so we'll just get back there. Cleveland, of course, having some strong progs. All right. All right, guys. Ultimately, we'll take a look real quickly at the power rankings here. Seattle number 1, Hawaii number 2. I have to add in divisions, so we'll get the divisions added real soon. But it looks like the West is probably going to be in a pretty strong spot right off the bat. Here, 1 second. Let me see if I can get divisions going now. All right. All right, guys. Thank you for joining, and have a great day.